Kiandiko. I'm a resident of Kaiti Constituency. Having born and raised in this constituency, I have lived here long enough, since I was a young boy, to know the real issues that affect the common person of this constituency. From the time I was born, we have had many leaders have come and gone. We have tried to do our best as a constituency, but we have not yet reached the promised land. And now it is time that has come that we want to take our people to the promised land. This time around, we want to do an election that is not just an election like the rest that we have had before. We want to make this election to be about our future. The choice that people make this election will be about the past and the future, a choice between the past and the future. And that is why making choices would like to scrutinize the leaders that we have. The choices that we have, we need to scrutinize them so that we get it right this time around. My background in terms of education, I schooled in normal public schools within the constituency. Actually, I even went to day school where I got my secondary education. It's called Chomu High School. And I managed to perform quite well, and I enrolled to the university where I did business and economics, because I wanted to know how business can be used to develop the welfare of our people and that of the nation as a whole. And it is through the education that I got and developing the people and communities that I've worked with, I became a community builder. And through the work that I've been doing, I've been able to build many businesses, small businesses for the youth and women. And it is in this background that I feel I can deliver on development that is wholesome, focused on the people, and try to change the livelihoods of the people of Kaiti. I've worked in so many communities, ranging from northern Kenya, where people are very much marginalized, to eastern, to my home background. And people have known me as a development conscious person. And I'm always focused on making it better. And this time around, I'm offering myself the skills and the ability to deliver on the welfare of the people of Kaiti as their representative in the National Assembly, as an MP. My agenda will be people-focused. I want to focus on the welfare of the person. We want to take development from the powers that be to the people that matter. And the people that matter is the common mwananchi. I would also want to highlight that the mandate of the MP is to represent the people and the interests of the people in the National Assembly. And that means whatever they want and whatever they want legislated, I must be able to articulate their agenda in the National Assembly. Also, due to the need and due to marginalization, historical marginalization, there is a kitty that is focused on the constituency development. These days, it is called the National Government Development Fund, NGCDF. Under the NGCDF, unlike before, where CDF could do projects on health, projects on water and irrigation, projects on agriculture, under the new CDF Act, those things that have been devolved cannot be done by CDF. So CDF is left with education, which is a national function, and security, which is also a national function. Looking at the CDF as a development kitty, we can also have a small amount which is given for focused on people, social development. And that is very small amount. So to be an MP and to be able to deliver on the agenda that I want to deliver, I want to be able to work with the county government, whoever will be elected as a governor, we want to set that working relationship so that we will be able to deliver on our agenda. On my agenda, based on that relationship with the county government, I would want to deliver on the wholesome agenda, ranging from eradicating poverty, all the way to education, health, agriculture, land, all of them, energy. We want to do projects that affect the living standards of the people, and that is my agenda in the under the new, if I'm given the mandate to represent the people in the National Assembly. Also, as a leader, you must know that you have a role to be able to mobilize and organize the community towards achieving a common goal, and that will be my main agenda, organizing communities to attain the goals of development within the constituency. That means I will be working with the people from the ground to form circles, for example, so that people can access markets and be able to actually attain greater growth in trade and commerce. On poverty eradication, you have to notice that Kenya is implementing the Vision 2030, which looks forward to creating equal communities across all communities. And one of the challenges that we are facing as a country is poverty. We have so much poverty, and especially in our area, which is one of the arid areas, there's too much poverty. Makueni County poverty levels are about 70%, and that gives you a challenge in terms of addressing the issue which has been brought by lack of employment for the youth, and also lack of productivity of the population due to drought and other natural calamities. So in order to reduce poverty in our areas, we need to make people productive. And how do we make people productive? By starting new ventures that people can create wealth and utilize the potential that is there. One of the main issues that I want to introduce is because I'm a business person, I want to bring a mind shift in leadership that will bring on board entrepreneurship mindset among the people. Because as leaders, you cannot develop your constituency by giving them money or by always building the infrastructure. You need also to focus on their welfare. And by doing business, we can be able to address the issue of poverty. We need to be able to start new ventures within our constituency and open new avenues where the youth can access new jobs that have never been there. In that regard, to reduce the poverty in our area, we need to look at utilizing agriculture potential by creating new areas for irrigation. Like, we don't have an irrigation scheme within our constituency, and that is one thing that we want to work towards to get to achieving. Achieving irrigated agriculture, from my own point of view, I think we need, because we can never have enough money from the government. So this is where I propose that we bring on board private sector and public-private partnerships, whereby a private partner can bring in capital, for example, to drill boreholes, whereby now those boreholes can be taken up by the government institutions to implement the piping, and at the end of the day we realize people are getting piped water into their homes. Also, when you look at youth programs that have been there before, they have a gap. In order to make sure our people, the youth more majorly, get their businesses growing, I want to introduce a new approach to youth entrepreneurship by introducing the aspect of venture capitalism, ama kwa Kiswahili ile tunaita mradi pepari. Venture capitalism ni arrangement whereby you get an investor who has experience in a certain field. For example, you get an investor who has done business in transport, and now he comes on board, co-owns business with the youth, but on a fixed timeline, where he's supposed to exit once he has gotten his money back. So the youth will not need to have capital. The venture capitalist will bring in capital, grow with them, return his capital, and by the end of 5 years, once he has returned all his capital, the business goes to the youth. The youth will have owned the business, and they will have acquired the best guidance from the venture capitalist. Through this approach, because it has worked very well in other countries like in India, where India faces the similar challenges like we face in Kenya, it has worked, and many people can grow businesses that even go global, and that is where we want to take our constituency, and especially we solve the issue of youth unemployment. Looking at Vision 2030 also, which is also focusing on reducing poverty and inequality, we want to open new areas for industrialization. Industrialization in Kenya is majorly in major urban centers, but now we want to open new industrial centers within the constituency. When you look at Makueni County, we have a lot of things that we can produce locally and be self-sufficient, and that is where we want to go. We don't have to buy like milk from outside the county. We can have our own dairy, well promoted, and farmers keeping livestock, dairy cattle, and they sell within the county. We buy from among our people, and we sell among our people to build our local economy. Looking at also areas of production like in textile industry, we can set up easily an EPZ. Once we have trained our youth in relevant skills, we can have an EPZ within our constituency. There are so many areas that we can acquire land and set up such a center for industrialization, because my focus is to lead an industrial revolution, and I want to start in Kaiti Constituency, and later we move to the national level, whereby now we will not be importing, because our country has been turned into a supermarket for imported goods. We want to stop importing from China, for example, majorly on clothes. We can produce clothes, we can sell uniform to our schools, and we can have that being made here in our constituency by setting up a textile industry manufacturing plant where we can absorb so many people, and so many youth will be able to get employment through such ventures. On agriculture, you realize that we are still in the Stone Age, where we still use ox-drawn plow to do farming in our farms. We need to move with the current modern world, where we can be able to mechanize our agriculture. And it is through organizing our people that we'll be able to make them mechanize agriculture and be food secure. After we have achieved our goal on irrigated agriculture by drilling boreholes, and you can see the current governor, that has done so much on water, and I hope we will continue to doing the same. We want now what is remaining to take this water to the people, and that is where now, since as I said before, that no government money is ever enough, and we need to be creative enough to get new sources of funding, and where I said we need to bring in new partnerships with private sectors to get this water to the homesteads, make people use this water in their farms, irrigate, produce, we sell, we export, we build our community. Based on that, we need to mechanize our agriculture. I want to organize people in groups whereby they can acquire small mechanized farming tools to stop using this ox-drawn plow, and we move to the next level. On education, I understand that no society can develop without having the right knowledge and skills and know-how. So my main focus, because I come from a poor background and I know the challenges that people go through when they want to acquire higher education, I want to inculcate a culture where everybody who is ready to go to school can be able to get the right education through scholarships and giving them bursaries where possible. We want to make the needy in this community be able to get the right education, because that is the only way that our people can be free from poverty. On scholarships, you understand that when they go out of this country, they learn so many new things, and we want to beef up the access to scholarships that are government offered and other private and non-governmental organizations that have such scholarships. We want to be able to link our youth to such scholarships. Let them go out there, let them learn what other people are doing, let them come also build ourselves here. We learn from them, from what they have learned. Based on the same, when you look at education, we have so many schools, and many schools are still using wood for fuel. And I want to bring in a new model where, because we are going to a renewable energy aspect of development, and we want to make sure that the waste that is generated in schools is being used to generate energy through biogas production. And that is a model that we can utilize, so that we also make it easier for the schools to use whatever resources that they have to generate fuel that they use for cooking, and that will ease on the fees burden for the parents. And that we want to do in every school, because we will also save our forests from being cut and reduce the emissions that go into the environment in terms of the emission of firewood, carbon dioxide, and the like. So my approach in that regard, we would be looking at a wholesome approach to make our area green. On trade and commerce, because our people have faced a challenge of access to markets, basically on horticultural fruits, majorly which we produce mangoes and oranges. Our people still sell their produce, agricultural produce, at very small or low prices, because they cannot be able to access the right markets. My agenda, I want in my agenda to be able to enable people to access markets that get them the right prices and make profit from their farms. When you look at the mango industry, for example, many farmers have grown mango, which is supposed to be giving them a lot of money, but we are getting peanuts from the farming of mangoes, which are part of the farmers who do mango farming. But the returns from this farming in horticultural fruits and related, we are getting very poor returns, because first of all, we don't have infrastructure for storage, and also we have poor access to markets, and brokers have made a lot of profit from our farms. So the farmers sweat, the brokers get the money. We want to get that on track by doing what? We want to bring storage infrastructure for perishable produce like mangoes and oranges, by having refrigerated storage areas where people can put their crops, avoid selling at low prices because they can get destroyed in the farms, and later we can sell at the price that we want. That infrastructure is key, and I will be able to work with the county government, which has actually started the plan for processing here in Kalamba. But the processing was not, from my view, the main solution, because they won't be able to compete with similar other big companies doing the same. But if we can be able to sell our fresh produce at the right time in the market, if it's mango, we can be able to keep it and sell during the dry season of September. We can still get the best prices for our produce. So the best approach is to have a refrigerated store. Alternatively, we can have the county government buying this produce and selling it we sell it to the county government. They buy at the right price, then they can sell later. On energy, you realize that our area is in a hot, dry place, and most of the time during the year we have solar, and we have not utilized the solar energy to the maximum. We need to have a legislation that allows private people to be able to harness this energy that is God-given and be able to sell it to the grid, to the national grid. If we can connect that, the power blackouts which has affected my constituency in the last 4 years, until you wonder why the power is even connected. If the blackouts are 4 days, 2 days we have light, 4 days we don't have light. So we need to have our locally generated energy, and that is solar energy. That one can be achieved, and by doing that, we'll be able to have our people enjoy modern lives. That is standard. The other issue that I wanted to touch on and that I'm focused on implementing is on trade and commerce. Trade and commerce, I want to have within our constituency a chamber of commerce that is well empowered, so that because we want our people to be trading and we want our people to have cooperatives, our farmers who do dairy farming to have cooperatives in dairy farming, we want our farmers who do mango farming to have their cooperatives, circles. We want our farmers who are doing oranges to have their circles. We want our people who are doing textile and other related businesses to have circles. And at the end of the day, we want to make that more coordinated by having a constituency-based chamber of commerce that will be responsible for finding markets for these produce and products that we generate within our constituency. And through this, I can assure you, if you give me your chance and vote for me on August 8th to represent you as the Member of Parliament, Kaiti Constituency, this agenda is focused on making our lives better, developing our constituency, and achieving the goals that we have focused to achieve for the last 50 years since independence. If we work together, you vote for me as your Member of Parliament, Kaiti Constituency, we are going to achieve this, and things are going to change. Thank you very much. On August 8th, vote for me as your MP, Raphael Kiandiko, and we shall achieve this together. Thank you.